Okay, let's take a look. Describe your experience with digital platforms used at your school. How have you utilized them to enhance both student learning and support for your colleagues? So I use digital platforms constantly because I'm a computer teacher, but one of the main ones that has become my favorite is to do my own screencasts, just like you asked us to do for this, like I'm recording now, and I use a high quality camera. I actually don't use Screencastify. I use Camtasia, which is a bit more complex. It has a very robust editor when you're ready to make your project, tons of things that you can do. And you can do things like you can zoom in, which I use quite a bit because I'm teaching kids how to do things on the computer. So I don't want to just use my mouse and kind of hover over something. I might want to zoom in over here on this particular button, which I'll demonstrate for you afterwards. And you'll see that I'm zooming into this, and then you can zoom back out. And then I like to take those screencasts and put them onto Edpuzzle. Here I am in Edpuzzle. This is a typical look at one of my classes that's currently in session. And so these are my instructional videos of how I want them to do the particular projects that I'm doing. So let's take a quick peek. When I record them, you'll see that I have recorded my own lesson. It's my screen, my face, and me teaching them how to do the different things. Very important is to insert questions throughout the video. That's how you get your formative feedback, and you get them answering questions about what it is you were just talking about in the video. And welcome to a new unit. We're going to start learning idea of the kind of thing I have them doing. This is the first video of a project they're doing when they're learning how to use WeVideo in my class. And that's my 2-minute limit. Okay, question 2. How do you analyze data from digital tools, and how have you used it to inform or adjust instructional practices or support others in doing so? So again, I spend a lot of time in Edpuzzle. So what I do pretty much every day when I'm in this program and my students are working on their Edpuzzles as well as their own projects that they're creating, I will open it up. I'll click due date. So here I am with my tabs, which are organized in groups. And I'll say, let me see. Okay, I'm looking at this one. Here's a new project. This class has just started. So right here, I have data. I can see 5 out of 8 have already completed this. 0 out of 18 I mean. So maybe I'll hit this one as well. So let's hit this one because there's a few that haven't finished this one. So this is an interesting point where I'm finishing one project, the starter project, and moving on to a PSA project. So there's a portion of kids who are still finishing this up, and several who have started this. So I would right click, open in a new tab, and I would do that for each of these. And now I have the data that I need right in front of me. I can come over here and I can say, okay, here's my 2 people who haven't done this one yet. Here's some other people and how they've done on the questions. The questions are very important. I always add questions, my own questions that I've written into it, so I can make sure they are paying attention, and I can tell right away. So I might go over to this young lady and say, I see on that number 4 video you got a couple wrong. Everything okay? So that's my instant feedback while they're still working on it. So let's look at video 1 of the new project. I'll order them here. I click this and that puts them in order. So it looks like actually most people have started it. A handful haven't finished. These are the ones that have finished. Most haven't finished, and so this is good information I have right away. I can see how they're doing, and here's the part 2 video, which none have started yet. So that gives me a quick snapshot. Just clicking on those, opening those, and that right away I know where people stand. I know who needs help, who doesn't, and so forth. So that's it for number 2. Let's look at number 3. How would you plan and deliver professional development for teachers in varying levels of digital literacy? Can you share an example of successful collaboration with staff members to implement it? So I've been using Edpuzzle for, I don't know how many years, 7 years, something like that. And I actually have taught people how to use Edpuzzle. And I have a class that I had set up for teachers. So they can literally go in and asynchronously follow along at their own pace. And so one teacher might cruise right through them all, just like my students sometimes do. And that particular person is ready for more advanced instruction or questions. And if they are a person who struggles, they can be on number one and maybe stop and ask me a question, which I've done in PDs. I've had PDs on Ed Puzzle where some teachers raise their hand and I come over and help them, which is exactly how what I like about Ed Puzzle with my students and my regular classes during the day too is I have that time to go up to kids who are more advanced and say, you're doing a great job. Let's challenge you a little. And those students who are behind or having trouble, I am aware of that pretty much instantaneously, and I'm going over and helping them as well. Question 4. What is your approach to assessing the effectiveness of digital tools? Describe a time when you provided feedback on a tool or adapted to a challenge with technology integration. That one I'm going to give a little thought. I guess I'm going to describe a time when I used to teach my classes, like my students, like in a more traditional way out loud. So for example, let's say I wanted them to write a business letter. I would kind of get everyone's attention in the room. I would use the software that I have in my classroom, not here at home, that lets me project to their screens. Instead of using a smartboard, I project directly to each kid's screen throughout the room. So I would use that, and I would teach them out loud, and that was sort of the way of teaching them at that time. And then I switched to this method of pre-recording my screencasts, and this is way before the pandemic that I was doing this. But I would make screencasts in using Camtasia. I've been a long time user of that program, and the difference that I could see with how my kids were getting it and self-pacing and my ability to go around and help people instead of being tied to the time of doing an out loud presentation was dramatically improved. And I've also done this with teachers, especially during the pandemic. Everyone started hopping on board with Ed Puzzle because it was a perfect way to sort of record yourself and connect with kids. So I took a lead during the pandemic on teaching that particular tool. And the last one, number 5, what is your vision of educational technology in our district, and how do you see yourself contributing to the goals of our technology team and our curriculum department? Well, we had Verizon come in a few weeks ago, and it sounds like we have a good shot at getting that grant, which is going to help our one-to-one initiative, which I see as being very important for my school, Hackensack Middle School, but also the district generally, because the high school would benefit from it as well. And that might also free up assets for elementary schools. But my favorite part about learning about this potential grant and this project is that it has started the conversation of having a technology coach in a building. We don't have a technology coach. Adrian, who I think is the one watching this video and asking for these questions, he doesn't have the time. I did that job before he did, and I know he can't be a coach too much. He doesn't have enough time. He's extremely busy. And I had hoped that the district would hire a coach for the district, but still, that's spreading too thin. Having a technology coach per building that can integrate, just like we do with so many other subjects. We have various coaches doing various things that are fantastic, but if someone could specialize in technology, that's what we're kind of missing right now. And having someone in each building, it sounds like from this grant, if we get it, that will at least get us a technology coach in the middle school and the high school. But the fact that we need someone to go in and push in with teachers and get right in there with them is obvious, and that's something that I have had envisioned for quite some time and hope that it does indeed start to happen. I believe that's the end of my interview.